A woman is fed up after she says her home and her dog have been shot by a paintball gun more than 40 times this week.
There are definitely some stretches where the heart gets pounding.
4 missing hikers are safe and sound today, and it's all thanks to a web app.
How did a coin collection scam lure in thousands of victims who lost millions of dollars? We have some answers coming up.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening. She tells us she is fed up. Tonight, a Lexington woman is cleaning up again after somebody shot paintballs at her house, her car, and her dog.
It happened on Pemberton Street. We're told her house and her dog were shot dozens of times this week, and she's not the only vandal's victim. Monique Blair is getting a look at the damage in our top story at 5:30.
A woman who lives on Pemberton Street is fed up after she says her home and her dog were shot by a paintball gun more than 40 times this week.
This is where they got my door. This is where they got my handicap ramp.
Jana Freeman shows us pictures of the vandalism that started Sunday afternoon.
About 3:30, I was in my home and heard a loud noise. I came out, found somebody had paintballed my 4-pound Chihuahua and my house.
Then on Tuesday, her home was hit again, 28 times. And then again this morning, another 8 shots. Freeman says she believes she's being specifically targeted.
I associate with the police department because I'm a member of the Citizens Police Academy. And that does harm me in the neighborhood.
Lexington police were called to Pemberton and 6th this afternoon, just down the road from Freeman's house, for reports of paintballs being fired at people on the street. Nobody was hurt, but the suspects haven't been caught.
I'm not angry. It saddens me. It saddens me that people get enjoyment out of victimizing.
Police say it's too early in the investigation to tell right now if the 3 incidences at Freeman's house and the incidents here today are related, especially because 3 different vehicles have been described as being involved. In Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Thank you, Monique. And the 2 vehicles described as being involved this afternoon are a newer model burgundy Dodge Charger and a gold-colored SUV. The vehicle described hitting Freeman's home is a cream-colored car with Michigan plates.
The man known as the duct tape bandit in a previous crime is headed back to jail. Last month, 32-year-old Casey Kazee of Ashland pled guilty to robbery. Police say he mugged a man in Ashland back in December. Today, Kazee was sentenced to 12 years in prison during a hearing in Boyd County. The Commonwealth's attorney says Kazee must serve 85% of that sentence. Back in 2007, Kazee earned the nickname the Duct Tape Bandit for wrapping his face with tape during a robbery at an Ashland liquor store.
A man faces 20 counts of child pornography charges tonight. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Jessamine County. State police and Nicholasville police arrested 57-year-old Samuel Sneed after a search warrant at his home. The KSP Electronic Crime Branch started investigating Sneed after finding out he was sharing images of child sexual exploitation online. Those images included sexual acts involving infants. Each count Sneed faces is punishable by 1 to 5 years in prison. In Harrison County, a man has been charged with manslaughter more than a year after a deadly crash. A grand jury indicted Dustin Darby for the crash that happened in January 2014. Deputies say Darby and his passenger, 21-year-old Josh Fryman, were speeding down Highway 36 when Darby lost control of the car. Deputies tell us the 2 were going more than 100 miles an hour, and the sheriff says Darby was drunk at the time. Fryman was killed in the crash. Darby is scheduled to be in court May 19th. In Estill County, police have found dozens of marijuana plants. The Irvin Police Department says they found 60 small plants in the Kentucky 52 area near Cobb Hill. They say this marijuana bust is part of the county's drug enforcement.
Well, don't be fooled by the weather. Your calendar is right. It is still May. The hot summer-like weather, though, will roll right into our weekend. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey's tracking, though, some big changes for next week, right, Chris?
Yeah, anything is going to qualify as a pretty big change at this point, but in the short term, it's all about the heat and the humidity that is out there across central and eastern Kentucky, and some storms join our Mother's Day weekend party. A little look outside across Kentucky now with those thermometers mainly into the middle 80s. Into Lexington, Richmond, and Frankfort, we are slightly cooler at 82 along the Mountain Parkway. Live First Alert Defender, you're looking to the west between the I-65 corridor and I-75. Not a whole lot out there. Now I'll get out of the way and show you those popcorn showers and storms trying to develop across eastern Kentucky. Got a little action not too far away from Cave Run Lake as of now. That stuff just to the north of Owingsville is weakening compared to what I was seeing a little bit ago on Defender. Stuff into southeastern Kentucky. Hey, it's raining itself out yet again, similar to yesterday. Western Kentucky, right on cue, that line of thunderstorms weakening the farther east that it gets. It's just a sign that the moisture is starting to slowly increase. It's going to feel rather tropical as we go into your weekend, and that means, guys, storms are set to increase. We will track the storms with a brand new up-to-the-minute, hour-by-hour forecast when I come back in about 10 minutes from right now.
It's helping them track down lost hikers.
The Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team is using a new web app that you can access from your cell phone to help rescue people who can't find their way out. Mike Linden shows us how this technology was used last night to help some lost hikers. It's a story that's new at 5:30.
Just after 11 o'clock Thursday night, 4 hikers from Cincinnati called 911. They said they were lost in the Red River Gorge without food, water, or flashlights.
They intended for a very short day hike, and they were just under the false impression that the trail that they were on was going to be a loop and would eventually bring them back to where they started their hike.
The trail they were on happens to be the longest in the state. The Sheltowee Trace Trail stretches from Rowan County all the way into Tennessee. Some experienced hikers say it isn't a trail for beginners.
There's a lot of up and down, so there are definitely some stretches where the heart gets pounding.
Search and rescue officials say they were able to identify the trail the hikers were on based on what the hikers were seeing on the trees, and in this particular case, a turtle marking the Sheltowee Trace Trail.
After calling 911, the hikers used a web app on the Wolfe County Search and Rescue website to narrow their location down to coordinates within a 15-foot area on the trail.
So we were able to take these coordinates, plot them on a map, which placed them right on the Sheltowee Trace, right where we thought that they were.
Search and rescue got to the hikers just after 2 a.m. Stephen says while the web app is helpful, it requires good cellular signal in order to work. He says the web app shouldn't be the first thought if you get lost while hiking.
Dial 911. So even if you don't think you have cell phone service, try dialing, because if any carrier provider has cell phone service, you're able to dial 911.
In Wolfe County, Mike Linden, WKYT.
As Stephen says, people from the Buckeye State do not have the best luck in the Red River Gorge. He says 70% of all rescues each year are people from Ohio.
One of the newer dorms on UK's campus is getting a new name. Today, the University Board of Trustees approved the renaming of Central One Residence Hall in honor of Lyman T. Johnson. Johnson was a late civil rights pioneer who was the first African American to be admitted to UK as a student. That was in 1949. Johnson died in Louisville in 1997 at the age of 91. The hall opened in August 2013.
A slick website, cold calls, and high-pressure tactics are at the heart of a coin collection scam that cost victims millions of dollars. The suspects preyed on the elderly and were relentless. This is what a high-pressure telemarketer sounds like.
Hey, let's put it to you this way. You're cutting this right down to the wire. I really need you to tell me you got the money, and I say sorry.
Well, I don't have money now, but I might have it tomorrow. That's what I'm working on.
You might want to post-date a check for Friday in the event you could, because tomorrow you might call and say you have the money now. I might say sorry, I'm unable to keep the position. We're pushing this money here. We get a check in today and date it for Friday, and if you have to, throw it out.
I can't do that.
Oh, then you're putting your own. You've been made abreast of your situation. And I hope it works out. Well,
in this case, Joseph Romano is trying to get an elderly man to buy more coins as an investment. Romano told victims they needed more coins to reach the big payoff.
Coins were not worth anything until the collection was completed, and the victims paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to complete the collection.
Romano built a boiler room of con men who would call victims with a sense of urgency to get them to complete their collections.
You have to buy, and other collectors were interested. And if you hurried up and purchased a coin today and express mail me the money, then you would get the coins and these other investors would not get the coins. In reality, those investors never existed.
The calls were relentless. Some victims were urged to take out an equity line of credit, mortgage their home, or deplete their life savings. In reality, the coins were only worth about 10 to 20% of what victims paid.
They would then try to sell to legitimate coin dealers, and we're told by legitimate coin dealers that the collection was not worth what they thought.
There were more than 3,000 victims and more than $80 million in losses. As complaints came in, postal inspectors shut down the operation and arrested Romano and his co-conspirators. Some advice from inspectors.
Take it to a legitimate, independent coin dealer to have it appraised. In this scheme, if some of the victims would have done that early, they would have realized early on that these coins were worth 10%, 20% of what they actually paid for.
Joseph Romano was sentenced to 15 years for conspiracy to commit mail fraud and wire fraud and 3 years supervised release.
Well, it's a potentially life-saving treatment, and it's now available in the Commonwealth. Still ahead on WKYT News at 5:30, a tour of Kentucky's first and only umbilical cord blood storage bank.
I'm Bill Bryant. A political expert weighs in on the dramatic week in the Kentucky governor's race and where you can see sample ballots about the upcoming primary. The bottom line is ahead.
She's running for a reason. Coming up on WKYT News at 6, we'll meet a young woman who uses every mile to fight against something bigger than herself.